Hey guys, it is me, the Emerald Sword. Welcome back to another video where today I am reviewing The Institute by Stephen King. So basically, what The Institute is it's basically kind of Stephen King meets Stranger Things meets the X-Men. Now, I don't really know a lot about the X-Men. I just really started getting into the movies with the release of Deadpool 3 happening in July. And then I haven't watched Stranger Things. I just wasn't really interested, but I don't know, maybe I'll watch it in a couple of years, we'll see. But basically, the book is about this guy named Luke Ellis, who seems to have a lot of mind powers. He's really smart. He's probably one of the smartest people in the world. And he wants to go to two schools at the same time, MIT and the other one I forgot for some reason. But anyway, so one night his parents get murdered and he gets kidnapped and taken to this place called the Institute, where there are other children just like him with mind powers. And this is where the X-Men and Stranger Things stuff starts coming in. So like there's people with telekinesis. So if you're a Stephen King fan like me, you'll think of Carrie. Or if you're into Stranger Things, you'll think of Eleven. And then if you want the X-Men things, someone mentions Professor X at one point. Someone mentions the X-Men themselves at one point. And if you want to go even further, one of the caretakers of the Institute is named Sophie Turner, who, of course, is the girl who played Jean Grey in two of the newer X-Men movies. And yeah, basically stuff like that. There's like tests on them, and they're like, have mind powers and stuff. Anyway, so there's this one nice girl at the Institute named Maureen Alverson. And then she kind of realizes that the Institute is like not a great place. So she teams up with Luke and this kid named Avery Dixon to help Luke plan an escape so that he might be able to come back and destroy the Institute. So anyway, around halfway through the book, Luke does manage to escape the Institute and then gets on a train and then goes all the way to South Carolina. And so at the very beginning of the book, we meet this guy named Tim Jameson. He's trying to go back to New York from Florida because of a whole incident. And then he gets a job as a night knocker. I'm not quite sure what a night knocker is, but it's probably like some sort of security thing or something, I don't know. Anyway, so we meet him at the very beginning of the book. And then Luke gets off the train and then meets Tim. And then he tells him all the stuff about the Institute. And then, of course, Tim doesn't quite believe him. But Maureen gave him this flash drive that has all the information about the Institute on it. So then they watch it with, like, everyone there. And they're like, wow, that's serious. So around the same time, the Institute realizes that someone did escape for the first time in the history of the Institute. So then they go down to South Carolina to go bring him back, alive or dead. So this is where things really start getting interesting. So, and then of course Avery Dixon, there's like other kids there. There's like George, Iris, Kalisha, Helen is another one, and then there's like all these people who like try to team up. So while Luke is getting chased down outside of the Institute, Avery and the others are like planning on trying to either bring down the Institute or escape. So anyway, the people who followed Luke get there. There's a giant gunfight. People die. But Luke manages to, with the help of Tim and the others, of course, they manage to stop the Institute there. And then they go all the way back to the Institute to shut the place down. So then basically, every child from every institute across the world, because there's more than one of them across the world, all of them combine their power, and then they just take down their institutes. And unfortunately, little Avery does not make it out alive. But anyway, so the institute is done. Everyone goes back home to like other families or whatever, because their parents are unfortunately passed away because they were murdered. And then Luke stays with Tim Jameson. So I've seen a few people talk about the Institute in the past, and like I've mentioned, they all seem to agree that the Institute is like if Stephen King wrote a book about Stranger Things and the X-Men at the same time. And I agree, for reasons I've already said earlier in the video. But I thought The Institute was going to be one of those books where I wasn't a huge fan of. Like, it was okay, but I wouldn't really want to go back to read it anytime soon. But I gotta say, after reading it, it's actually one of my favorite newer Stephen King books. It's like nowhere near my favorite Stephen King book or anything, but it's certainly up there as one of the better new ones that I've read. Of course, it's like the third one behind Dr. Sleep and Mr. Mercedes. But, but yeah, The Institute is easily like my third favorite new Stephen King book. So, would I recommend this to people? I would. I think that if you're an X-Men fan, you'll enjoy this for the X-Men references and the superpowers. Or if you're a Stranger Things fan, you'll like this for the mind powers, and I guess there were institutes in Stranger Things, so you guys might like that as well. But also as a Stephen King fan, I mean, Stephen King's name is on the title. I'm pretty sure you're going to want to read that if you're a Stephen King fan. But yeah, overall, those are my thoughts on The Institute. And if you guys have read the book, I would love to know what your thoughts were about The Institute. Anyway, that is all from me. I am Ben from the Emerald Sword, and I will see you guys next time.